Hi everyone, my name is Chris O'Neill from Sew the Distance. It is day 30 of Christmas in July 2025. I'm so glad you're here, and we have our final project. Well, if you don't count the 16 patch, which will be revealed tomorrow, our final project that we're gonna make. I know, I can't believe it's almost over. Okay, so today I'm gonna show you what to do with all of these scraps. Do you remember back, I think on day 3, I had you get a container, maybe day 2, I'm not sure, and keep all of the scraps from the entire month? Now's the time to use them. And my inspiration for this was this wreath. If you remember, I thrifted this wreath. It was a lot fuller then. I'll try to find a picture. I don't know if I took a before picture of it. It's so cute because it's all these little tiny pieces, or skinny, they're not really tiny, skinny pieces of fabric, and it's all from like the 1970s, 1980s. There's some calicos. I took these strips and I made coasters out of them. Aren't they cute? Oh my goodness, and I'm going to show you how to make them out of these scraps. I'm just going to open these up so you can see. And I still have a ton of strips, by the way, so I'll be making more projects. In fact, there might be a video coming up in August or September on some other things that I'm going to do with them, but you can stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. These are the coasters. Aren't they cute? And they're all different, but they're all using these strips. And I got a ton. I think I got like 200 strips. I wish I would have bought all of the wreaths that they had, but I didn't. That was stupid because these were so much fun to work with. Each of the backs are different. I just used scraps. And we're gonna make these today. So the first thing we're going to do to get started is dump this out and find some fabrics that kind of go, cut them into strips. Now the strips, you want them to just be random sizes as far as width. And for the longest strip that you need, it will be, I think it's 8.5 inches. Yes, 8.5 inches long. But just cut them up because it'll be fun and you just can go crazy. All right, I'm gonna do that. Now we're gonna dump them out. Oh my goodness, so many different fabrics and so many memories. I can remember making different things, cutting things up. Some of these are bigger. I wonder if I just was cleaning up and toss them in there. So I'm gonna pull some of those out and set them aside. So you can see they're all different kinds. And I'm just going scrappy here. That's what I'm looking for, very scrappy. All right, so we got quite a few here. I'm gonna pick out some, and by the way, I have a ton of videos that could use these. I have the mile a minute quilt where you can make the Christmas houses. I have a tote zipper pouch thingy. I made coasters before that I use crumb quilting techniques with. There's all kinds of stuff out there, so I do have a bunch. I like this print, so I'm gonna cut that. And I'm just gonna randomly cut strips. You don't want them any bigger than, say, 2 inches, but you don't want them any smaller than 1/2 inch. Okay, so keep that in mind. Those. Actually, we'll cut 2 of those. I'm going to make this one a little skinnier. Okay. Oh, this is cute. Let's go. And you only need one side that's straight, by the way. Just cut that in half. Look, that's already a strip. Perfect. Got a few that are. It's a little, well, yeah, it's a little on the wide side, but it'll work. These are definitely on the wide side, so I'm going to cut these. Okay. If I do this again next year, I'll just have you cut strips to begin with. All right, so I got a decent pile. I still have a ton of scraps left, but I didn't want to make these all into coasters because I have other plans for these too. So I just pulled out some that I liked and cut some strips. They're right here. All right, so the next step is we need batting or some sort of base. You can use scraps, that's okay. Use whatever you have. They don't have to be the same. You can use different weights, whatever. Just cut them into 5.5 inch squares. Now, you're gonna overcut them. You're gonna make them a little bit bigger and we're gonna trim them down, so keep that in mind. I like to have that little bit of insurance policy because as we attach these strips, it's gonna shrink them in some. So something to keep in mind. I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now and I'll show you. I'm gonna make 4. I have way too much for 4. Maybe I'll make some more later on and make them as gifts because I do think they would make great hostess gifts. They'd make great just gifts for coworkers, for teachers, for friends, family, whoever, stocking stuffers, or for yourself. Wouldn't they be adorable sitting, where's the little packet? I think I opened it up, didn't I? I did. But if they were all tied up in a little bow in a basket with coffee mugs and maybe some teas or hot chocolates and maybe a good book or a magazine, it would make a beautiful basket. This is like hanging. I just think they're really great and super easy too. All right, so let me grab those. I'll get those cut and then I gotta move around the furniture so I can show you how to sew these. So much fun. I have all my squares cut for the batting. I have my strips here and I just have this bucket. This is usually my trash can, so you might see it later when we're trimming things up. But I have them all in here just so I can dig through and find what I want. So we're gonna take one of our squares, our batting squares, and we're gonna take one of our strips. Let's see, I'm gonna use this one, I think. And lay it across the middle like this. And you can trim it. You just want to make sure that you have enough space. I'd rather have extra than not enough. I'm going to take another strip. Let's go with this one. I'm going to lay right sides together, matching up this edge. Now, you don't have to be real particular about that because it's going to be fine. So if you don't get it completely matched or if you go over a little, that's okay. You just want to make sure that you enclose both pieces with your seam that you're going to sew, which we're going to do right now. So we're going to go to the machine, and I have the red thread in this, and my stitch length is, I'm going to put it at 2.2 because it is a little thick. And I'm just going to sew down that edge. We're going to move these out of the way. All right, now we just open this up and you can just finger press it or you can use an iron. And then we're going to sew one on the other side. Kind of like this burgundy. That's kind of nice. It's a little long, you just trim it. Now just make sure that it'll go all the way, which it does. Flip it back on. And sew. Just like that. Now once I get to this point, I do like to hit it with the iron. And then we're going to pick another piece. Let's see, that's kind of nice. Actually, we'll just pick 2 while we're here. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on both sides. Once I have 2 on, I'm going to press it again. And then I'm going to keep going. Now, the thing you want to keep in mind is you want either a small piece right here and then a bigger piece to enclose that corner. The thing is, you don't want too small of a piece on that corner because we're going to be sewing around this and that's going to take up some of the seam allowance. Well, the corner is going to be in the seam allowance, so you don't want it itty bitty tiny and weird because it's just going to be a pain to sew around. So you either want to go really wide or go a couple small strips and then a wider strip. That's important. All right, I like that. I'm kind of going with a burgundy theme here. And I like this one because it is nice and wide. Okay, let's do that. So I got like a red, green theme going. So this one definitely will reach. And then this one I'll probably have to do another, well, actually let's do this one over here. let's see where we're at. See if that makes it, and it does. Let's see. That'll work out well. All right, and then this one, we might have to do 2 strips. So I'm just gonna go in a little bit like that, and so along this edge, and we'll see where we're at. Yeah, and then I'll do another chunk. Actually, that does reach. I think we're good. So I'm giving this a nice, good press. That one's way long, that's okay. It's not a big deal. And you have something that looks like this, which is kind of messy and weird, right? It's gonna make sense. It's like magic. All right, I'm gonna put the cutting mat here so I can show you the next step. Okay, here's the cutting mat. I'm gonna flip this entire thing over, just like that. And you can see it kind of picked up some threads. That's not a big deal. Now we're gonna trim it up. Now, because we cut this batting at 5.5 inches, we had a little bit of wiggle room, and when you sew things on it like this, it sucks it up, it makes it a lot smaller. So I like to have that insurance policy. We're gonna cut these down to 5.25 inches. Okay, so I'm just gonna start with one side, and I'm on the back side. And it's okay if I get some of the batting in this because we have insurance. Okay, I'm just gonna turn this around. I keep forgetting not to cut with both hands. I'm sorry. I'll try to remember here for this. So I'm going to move this over. I know this edge is straight. I'm going to move this over to 5.25, and I'm lining up this line on it. How's my glare? Hopefully my glare is not too bad. All right, and then I'm going to cut this side. And here I'm going to line it up down here. Line it up here. You want it as straight as you can get it. And then line everything up and cut. And these little pieces I put in a pillowcase. Let me show you. Do you remember from the thrifting video, I got these sheets? Well, these pillowcases were a little discolored even after I washed them and really tried to clean them up, which makes the perfect pet bed, especially for shelters. So any scraps like this that are cotton, they don't have anything weird in them or anything like that, they're gonna go in here. And then once this is full, I can just sew across the top and you have a pet bed. It's just a pillowcase. So just a thought, just an idea for using up some of those scraps and for repurposing something like this that you maybe won't use. All right, so now the moment of truth is flipping this over and seeing how pretty it is. Are you ready? Oh my goodness, look at how pretty. We got a thread there, but that's okay. Oh my goodness. All right, so the next step is to put the backing on and to finish it up. All right, I'm going to get, I like using scrappy backing, so I think we had bigger scraps in that bin. Maybe that's why I put them in there. I'm gonna cut a piece of backing fabric. I'm gonna use red, I think, just because I think it'll be pretty. And I'm gonna cut it at 5.25 inch square. All right, let me do that, be right back. Okay, here it is. So I'm just gonna take the right side or pretty side of the backing fabric and I'm gonna place it right sides together on our coaster, just like that. And I'm gonna pin it together. You could use clips too if you wanted to, just to hold it into place. And next, I'm gonna sew 1/4 inch all the way around this, but I'm gonna leave an opening for turning. Now the opening that I'm leaving for turning, I wanna leave it kind of bigger than you'd think. So I'm probably gonna start right here, back stitch, go all the way around, back stitch, and leave a couple inches. I find it to work out a little bit better with these. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I'm gonna be using 1/4 inch, just be consistent. Now, you know me, I like to give it a good press. Okay, remember our bucket? I dumped it out. We're gonna trim the corners. So I'm gonna flip this over so you can see what we're working with. I'm also gonna trim that thread. And I'm just gonna trim these points, kind of angle them in. You want that edging, you want that batting because it's going to give it a nice little lip around the side. So don't trim that down. Okay. Now we're going to flip it. We're just going to reach in here and turn it. All right, I'm just going to take a chopstick. You can use a point turner or whatever and push out the points. They're kind of thick. That's okay, because I think it gives it a nice look. You know, you want it to have a little cushion to it, right? It's a coaster. You don't want your drink sweating through. Oh my goodness, look how cute. How cute is that? All right, we're almost done. Just gonna make sure they're out. All right, now we're gonna press it. Give it a little steam. And then where your opening is, I can't talk, you're just gonna fold that in. And it should fold in pretty well, and just hit it again with the iron. Then I like to put a clip there just to hold it. You could also use your clapper, keep it nice and flat. For whatever reason, if that's smaller, that hole for turning, it doesn't want to fold in as easily. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's the way it works, right? Our next step is top stitching. Now I like to change out my foot to the stitch in a ditch foot and then move my needle over. You can do it however you want. You can just run it like 1/8 of an inch along the edge, whatever works for you. And you know what, I was gonna clip this, but I don't think I need to. I think it's good. Okay, and if you have a Janome, at least the one I have this 6700P. It's the D foot that you use. I know somebody had asked me about that. And then I put it on mode 2004, and that moves my needle over. And then when I'm doing any type of top stitching like this that I want it to kind of be invisible as much as possible, I start it at a very small stitch length, like 0.8. And then I crank it up to the 3.4 for my top stitching. And then when I get it back around, I turn it back down to like 0.08, and then I knot it, and you can't even see it. It's awesome. When you get to the corners, you just leave your needle in and lift up the foot and pivot and keep going. Now I'm coming up back around, so I'm going to turn down my stitch length. Just like that. And then I'm going to knot it just because I can. Also, on the Janome foot, and I swear I'm not sponsored by Janome, but they can call me anytime they want because I love Janomes. There are also markings for how far 1/4 inch is. Just saying, it's really cool. So check it out if you have one. And we're gonna trim our threads. Oh my goodness, you can't even see where I started and stopped. Maybe a little on the back. If they're looking that close, they don't deserve the gift, right? Look at how cute that is. All from scraps, maybe even things that you might have thrown out. I hope you enjoyed this final project of this series. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you take some time to sew, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.